they are not supporting it?
Because Justin Trudeau is a wacko.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the answer. We
Okay.
have a wacko for a prime minister.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Pleb is back in today's special report. Justin Trudeau gave a 13-minute interview on the beach yesterday, and we are going to watch this entire interview. Now, many on the internet are saying that this was staged. It looked almost too perfect. But thankfully, I was able to interview Keean Bexte, the journalist who asked Trudeau these questions, to find out, was this interview staged? You won't want to miss tonight's story. Stick around. Before we start tonight's report, are you absolutely fed up of the bias of the liberal media? If the answer is yes, smash the subscribe button because I'm going to show you the news the mainstream media won't. Well, folks, the Trudeau interview on the beach is finally here. We are finally going to watch this entire interview. Now, yesterday this interview was out, but I didn't want to cover it on my channel because Keean Bexte put this behind a paywall, and I'm going to explain to you why he did that. Now, unlike our state-sponsored media, CBC, CTV, Global, all of them, they get subsidies from the government, but our government doesn't give subsidies to independent journalists like Keean. Now, Keean was transparent enough here to show all his expenses that went into doing this interview. Now, the expenses have added up to the point where he showed us a bill for $1,780, and by the time Keean got back home to Alberta, the expenses were going to be close to $3,000. So out of respect, and upon seeing that paywall, I reached out to Keean and I reached out to Kat because I wasn't going to react to a video behind a paywall. I know why it's behind a paywall. I'm not a scumbag like that. But thankfully, Keean said, okay, you can show this on your channel, but wait at least 12 hours after it drops. And I said, no problem. We're going to feature the preview on my show. We'll send people to the paywall if they want to see it early. But now, for those of you who waited, you're about to see this interview for free. So sorry for the long-winded rant. I just wanted to be transparent to you guys, and I wanted to explain to you guys why Keean gave us exclusive rights to cover this interview. Now, without further ado, let's go watch the interview that many are calling staged.
I ask you though?
Sir.
I'll just ask you super quickly. Your minister said they're going on vacation.
Wow.
Don't put your hands on me.
Puts his hand on Keean.
More than any political leader on the face of the earth, Justin Trudeau carefully manages his media appearances, who's allowed access to him, who can get into press conferences, who he'll arrest if they get too close, who he'll sit down for an interview with.
You had your media advance call the RCMP because I was going to ask questions that you didn't want. I wasn't the CBC, I wasn't CTV, I wasn't Global News, so you had to get arrested, so we came out here.
Following his catastrophic by-election loss in Toronto, the Prime Minister has gone into hiding. He refuses to call a caucus meeting, and his administration is hanging on by a thread.
The line is right here.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Are you?
Okay, I caught a lot of crap on X last night for this, for saying, I said that Trudeau looked kind of badass here, pushing his security aside and saying, let's do the interview. Now, this doesn't make me a Trudeau fan. I'm just saying that was a cool moment for the Prime Minister to just push him aside and give the interview. That's all I'm saying. Trudeau's still a gigantic scumbag, guys. I'm not a Trudeau fan by any means. Let's keep this moving along.
Are you looking for a replacement right now?
No, I am absolutely not. I am running in the next election.
Are you
Does anyone find it suspicious how he's wearing a Canadian Pride t-shirt here? He's a little suspicious.
concerned at all about your poll numbers?
No, I am not.
What causes you to not be concerned?
After reviewing open source information and discerning the whereabouts of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's plane, we realized he was in hiding in Tofino. The mainstream media was calling it a vacation, but we knew where he was, and we knew that this was the only opportunity we'd have to get questions answered.
Could I ask you though?
Sorry, sir.
I'll just ask you super quickly. Your minister said that going on vacation. No, don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on me.
Then please.
Your minister said that going on vacation on road trips actually causes the world to be set on fire.
Thank you, sir.
We're wondering
Have a good
how
day.
you could justify coming on a huge plane. Would you say that you're hiding from your caucus, actually?
Okay, here comes the interview.
So you're enjoying your
hiding
time
from
on
your
vacation?
caucus?
Good. You having a good time on vacation, sir?
I'm
Are
happy
you on
to speak with
vacation?
you because actually
You
this
on
is the first
vacation?
time we've been
Are
able
you
to
on
speak
vacation?
with you
Have a
because
good
your
day.
government is so. We want to know why you can justify going on a chartered government flight when your minister says that going on a simple road trip.
The line is right here.
Sure.
What did you want to do?
Sure. Thank you.
I'll be with you in a bit.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So tell me.
I just want to
Hang on,
know.
no,
I want you to
I get that.
I
No,
ask
no.
the questions.
You you asked
can
about
ask me
your
one question.
mom.
I'll ask
You
you
asked
one
about your
question.
mom. Okay, sure. Do you think prime minister should be able to have a family life?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you imagine?
Now, one question. No, I gotta ask one question.
You've
You
asked
asked one
multiple
question.
questions.
You haven't
I'm gonna
answered
ask
one though.
more.
So
I'm going to ask one more.
families get.
Do you
Prime ministers
think-
get to have a family
do you
life.
think-
Journalists also get to have
do you
access to
think-
prime ministers.
I have. Okay. So what's your question?
Well, I want to know if you're hiding from your caucus, why you won't call a caucus meeting.
I am not hiding from my caucus, and I've had many, many conversations and meetings with caucus. Okay, question for you now. Can you imagine, and do you think that kids who grow up in a prime minister's family deserve to have a normal-ish life with their family?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And can you understand?
Can I ask a question now?
Sure, go ahead.
So you are passing a bill right now. You're pushing through a bill that's going to. It's called the Online Harms Act, and you're sort of putting a bunch of policy in behind protecting children. You say it's all about protecting children, but that bill is actually going to censor Canadians' ability to access the internet, to exercise free speech. Why put those two bills together? Why not separate them?
Right? First of all, it's actually not doing any censoring of the internet, and it's entirely focused on.
That is a lie. No, it's not censoring the internet. He doesn't even know what this bill is.
Kids. So, my kids spend an awful lot of their life dealing with me as Prime Minister. Every now and then, I get to go away and watch my kids playing in the water. And this is the 10 days I get on vacation for the entire summer. And as you know, I work more days a week than the vast majority of Canadians.
You've actually taken hundreds of vacation days last year.
Did he seriously just say that? That he works more days than the majority of Canadians? Really? Really? Maximum delusion here.
The vast majority of Canadians.
You've actually taken hundreds of vacation days last year.
Hold on.
I'll let you finish. Sorry.
You can do the math. Glenn McGregor did the math last year, pointed out how many days I work as Prime Minister, and it's equivalent of working every single day of the week and Saturday and not taking any day off, not any bank holidays, not 2 weeks of vacation, nothing. I work incredibly hard, and I get to be dad with my kids with nothing else going on for 10 minutes. My son was just out there in the water, splashing around, and he came to see me because he was so excited that I came out to see him, and he instead saw me, giving an interview, being Prime Minister again, and right now he just wants me to be my dad, and I'm trying to give him a little bit of that right now.
Trudeau's trying to play the sympathy card here. Look at the manipulation.
I'm happy to take questions when I'm in Ottawa. I'm happy to take questions when I'm making announcements. I do more media press conferences than any other politician these days.
Justin, can you tell me what?
Bro, he never takes questions from independent media. He bans them from conferences, from debates. This is why Keean's confronting him. It's the only way he can get questions in with Trudeau.
Why your Minister of Climate Change is serving on a communist council? Can you tell me about that, Justin?
So your government has overseen the greatest collapse of news media in this country's history. When will you take responsibility for your own incompetence, Prime Minister?
So we actually had to sue you to get into the government debates.
Who do you work for?
I work for the Counter Signal, but
Okay, what is that?
formerly it's a conservative, albeit right-wing news outlet based out of Calgary, and we had to fight to get into the leaders' debates during the last election. Why did you stop? You might say it was a debate commission, but it's a debate commission that you created.
No, it's not.
Stopped a lot of independent journalists from coming in to ask questions.
The Ottawa Press Gallery is a self-regulating body of journalists who make determinations who gets to be members of political journalists in the Parliamentary Press Gallery. The government has no say in that. It's your peer journalists who make decisions about who gets accredited in the Parliamentary Press Gallery.
Do you think that it's a little bit strange that your minister...
How many of those journalists who make that decision are liberals or leftists? I wonder.
Said that going on a road trip...
We're just going to change...
No, I'm just going to keep asking you questions. Hopefully it's okay. Mark Holland said that going on a road trip is equivalent to setting the world on fire. But
you can take a summer fun time vacation where you're locked in a car for 10 consecutive days, nonstop with no bathroom breaks, and the Conservatives have a plan for you to have that summertime fun. And the cost? Give up the future of the planet.
But you chartered a private government jet. No, let me finish my question. You chartered a government jet to here, to Fino, so that you could be isolated with your family. Totally fair. But lots of Canadian families want...
I'm not isolated.
This is almost the most western point in the country. You live in Ottawa. I'm not going to do the math on how much carbon that burns.
What Mark Holland was talking about was the math that the Conservative Party did on the road trips taken this summer was the equivalent of going from the North Pole, the tip of northern Canada to Patagonia and back 4 times. That's the kind of road trip that the Conservative Party math was actually talking about. Now, lots of Canadians going on vacation all the summer. I don't get to get on a commercial jet. I don't get to do a long road trip because I only take 10 days off on the summer, so I have to fly to come see my friends and family in Vancouver. If I'm going to fly to the West Coast, I have to fly on an Air Force jet, a Royal Canadian Air Force jet. Those are things that every Prime Minister has to do. It's something that is just the rules that applies to all Prime Ministers. So if I'm going to go away with my family to a beautiful part of this country where I spent time growing up, I need to do it this way.
Do you see any similarities between yourself and Joe Biden's current political situation?
No.
You trying to...
Now we've got a lot of questions.
Sure.
I guess my last question is, do you believe that good people should be stepping up in politics for all different parties?
I think that good people should be elected to office for sure. I think that that's an important thing.
Do you realize that one of the challenges we have right now is good people are looking at the costs of being in politics, being in public life, costs on family, costs on all sorts of different levels, and wondering whether or not it's worth it?
Are you calling yourself a good person here?
No, I am saying that my job right now is to try and encourage people to step up into politics, and that's part of what I'm doing. And a lot of people look at the aggressiveness of tracking someone down and challenging them on vacation while they're on the beach trying to spend some time with their 10-year-old son, who I'm going to have to go try and explain that to. A lot of people will say, wow, I don't know that they'd want to sign up for this. And one of the challenges...
Look at the manipulation here. This is pure Trudeau manipulation. He's good at what he's doing. He's trying to make you feel bad for him. Wow.
Have in a democracy is we need to make sure that good people from all different parties step up and not get their private time turned into public time.
Are you looking for a replacement right now?
No, I am absolutely not. I am running in the next election.
Wow.
Are you concerned at all about
that? Is the best news ever. He's running in the next election. Thank the Lord. Seriously. This is a gift from the heavens.
Numbers?
No, I am not.
What causes you to not be concerned?
Because I spend a lot of time talking with Canadians. A lot of time, focusing on the things that we're doing to actually deliver for people.
Does it not concern you that wherever you go, you get a lot of backlash because of what you're doing with the country?
What concerns me is I can't bring my kids away with me on vacation without having that vacation interrupted and having private times at 6 o'clock in the evening on a beautiful night in a beautiful Canadian beach.
I appreciate that you want to spend time with your family. It is a great story, but the issue is
It's a story. It's a story.
It's a great narrative for sure.
It's a great
but at the end of the day, Justin,
do you have any kids?
You were the
Do you have any
prime.
kids?
No, I don't.
Do you
At the
have
end of the
any
day,
kids?
at the end of the day, Justin, you were the prime minister.
Yes. So
and
I'm
you-
not allowed to have a vacation with my kids.
I think that Canadians need to get answers from you more often than they do.
Okay.
I think that you hide behind press conferences, that you determine who gets access to, so that you can make sure
I've
that
just given
state-funded
you
journalists.
10
No, definitely, and I
minutes of
appreciate
access.
that. But
Okay.
this is what we had to do. We had to fly out to Tofino to find you on a beach to ask you just several questions.
That's the job
When
you get paid to
throw
do.
a-
Did you do this for free, or are you going to get paid for this? Because you're paid.
Hopefully I get paid. Hopefully this was good enough content that people want to chip in. But the thing is, you've had me arrested outside of your house, Justin. Yes, you have. Yes, Terry Keean actually called the RCMP to pull me out of a press conference. It was the press conference actually where you were talking about how monetary policy, you don't think about it very often. But you had your media advance.
Canada's.
You had your media advance call the RCMP because I was going to ask questions that you didn't want. I wasn't the CBC, I wasn't CTV, I wasn't Global News. So you had me arrested, so we came out
You have
here.
your countercultural way of doing things, and you're getting this message out. I hope you get lots of likes. I'm sure you will, because you have me actually engaging with you. And now I'm going to say, thank you for coming out here and doing your job to contribute to democracy. Now I'm going to go back and be with my family so that I can get back to work on contributing to democracy when I come home from vacation.
All right, thanks for your time.
Have a great day, guys.
That is the most time that an independent journalist has had with Justin Trudeau. I asked some questions. I had a lot more to ask. He's good at shouting back and telling a story, telling a narrative that he's formed over a long amount of time. But at the end of the day, it does tell you a lot that a journalist has to fly on 2 planes from Calgary to Vancouver, and then from Vancouver to a float plane that then flies out to Tofino, that I then have to come out to this beach and wait here for hours until we're able to speak with our Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has to be accountable to Canadians, and Canadians are suffering more than ever. Justin Trudeau thinks that it's totally normal for him to get on a government jet flown by the Air Force. He's very proud of that. Bring his family out, bring his friends out, and hang out in this extremely exclusive area of the country. It's
beautiful.
So he can remain as out of touch as possible. He calls it a vacation, but at the end of the day, Justin right now is actually hiding from his caucus. He refuses to call a caucus meeting after he lost that by-election in Toronto, a by-election that is going to cause a disaster for Justin Trudeau in the general election. It's Fortress Toronto. He's lost it, and he's not holding himself accountable to his caucus with that failure. So we come out here to ask him some questions. I was actually delighted to see that he responded. If you want to support the work that we're doing to hold Justin Trudeau accountable, asking questions that the CBC would never ask, you can go to supportthesignal.com. If you get a subscription to the Counter Signal, you'll have unlimited access.
Definitely check out their website and support their journalism at supportthesignal.com, guys. Give them some love.
To our breaking news and stories on culture and politics in Canada. And you can also pitch in to help me cover the cost of the one-way flight that I got here and the one-way flight I'm going to get home. I am going to leave Justin to his family now, to the vacation, so he calls it, while he's in hiding for the remainder of the week here. I hope you enjoyed it, the interview, and please stay tuned for more. For the Counter Signal, I'm Keean Bexte.
Awesome work, Keean. Okay, now that we saw this interview in full, the internet was absolutely going crazy last night, saying it was staged. I don't know about you guys, but after what I just saw, I don't think this interview was staged at all. But in all fairness, I'm not going to lie here. Trudeau wearing a Canadian pride shirt during this interview was definitely a little suspicious. But maybe, just maybe, Trudeau is trying to appeal to Pierre Poilievre voters. He's trying to appeal to Pierre's conservative base by wearing sleeveless t-shirts that look patriotic like this. You know, maybe Trudeau's trying to become a freedomer, as they say, to win more votes. His desperation is obviously at all-time highs. But for all the skeptics who are questioning whether this was real or not, I reached out to Keean Bexte last night and we had a conversation, and I straight up asked him, Keean, is this staged? Here was his response. All right, here we go. Okay. This is recording right now. I have some questions for you, Keean. I haven't seen the interview yet. I'm very excited to see it. There's a lot of hype on the internet. But after watching that trailer, many on the internet are saying that this might actually be staged. Like, the timing was so perfect, the fact that you were able to find Trudeau's location. A lot of alarm bells are going off online. Many people are skeptical. How would you answer that?
I take it as a very big compliment. One of the things that, a lot of journalists say, a lot of journalists will say the biggest compliment they can get is when they call someone a source and the source says, "How did you get this phone number?" That's the peak compliment to a journalist. And, finding where Justin Trudeau is the prime minister, someone who, tries to hide where he is a lot of the time because he does take a lot of vacation time, personal days. It's not an easy thing to do, but with enough work and enough research, you're able to sort of pinpoint where his jet might be and where his Airbnb might is. He's actually staying in an Airbnb right now.
Okay.
Through pictures, through open source intelligence, we're able to deduce where he is, and then you go do some shoe leather journalism. You show up. There's a financial risk to that, of course. We had to fly from Calgary to Vancouver, take the train from YVR to the city center, then get on a Harbor Air seaplane that flew me to Tofino. Then I met my camera lady in Tofino, and we started scouring the town and the greater area for Trudeau's motorcade, which we had seen from a photo on Facebook, had about 4 cars in it. So we knew what cars to look for. And I also, when you're looking for an RCMP officer, it's pretty easy to tell who they are if you know what you're looking for. Black vest, plaid shirt, sunglasses, usually pretty big guys. And we found them. We found them on a public beach. And we also found a ton of tripod towers with cameras. It looked like a place a prime minister would be. So my camera lady, Kat, and I, we walked across the beach, hung out there for a little bit. Families were enjoying their time there. The locals were enjoying their time. We were there for a couple hours, and lo and behold, the prime minister walks out of the backyard of his property and towards the shoreline, which was about a 90-second walk. The RCMP stayed back. And as we walked closer to the prime minister and took out our phones to start recording, the RCMP jumped up and started booking it towards us. It took them about half a minute to get there, as you can see from the interview when you watch it. And we started asking some questions. Trudeau put his hands on me. And I think as I replay this in my mind, I think he realized how bad it looked that he was pushing his hands against me, grabbing me like he grabs at a lot of people, frankly, to tell me to stop asking questions. Like he has a right to not be asked questions when he's in hiding. The mainstream media is calling this a vacation. It's not really a vacation. He's hiding from his caucus. His caucus members have called for a caucus meeting time and time again following the disastrous by-election loss in Toronto. He refuses to do that. He knows if he has to face his caucus, they'll hold him accountable because their caucus wants to keep their jobs come the next election, and Justin Trudeau could very well be the person standing between them and employment in 2025. So, this was anything but staged. I recommend everyone watch the interview.
Were you surprised when Justin Trudeau pushed his security away and said, "F it, let's do this interview"?
Mm-hmm.
Did that catch you by surprise?
It did. And usually for these kind of things, you prep 2 to 3 questions. Maybe they'll respond to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the questions, you had to pull them out of your pocket quick. Now, what I was saying earlier, I think he was doing some math in his head as I replay this. When he was putting his hands on me, I think he realized how bad that looked. It does not look good for a prime minister to be pushing a journalist, physically pushing them. And then, I say, take your hands off me. And he says, only if you leave or something like that. That's red flag. That's like abuser 101.
Yeah, but how are you able to get so close to him, though, to get that close? Like, it took, 30 seconds for the RCMP to catch up as he was walking alone on the beach? Many people are worried about his security, like the fact that, I know you're a journalist, but let's say you were a terrorist, to be able to get access to the prime minister and his security only takes 30 seconds. That's a little spooky. Do you think his security team is possibly not up to par. I don't know. Like how are you allowed 30 seconds with the prime minister before his security caught up to you? Is my question.
Well, I think that the security, they definitely made eye contact with me. The RCMP, they knew I was there. I don't know if they knew who I was, but they definitely assessed the threat of the situation. You could tell that they stood up slowly. They started walking towards me when they saw two individuals walking towards the prime minister. If I was running towards him with a weapon or something,
course.
you know, the RCMP probably would have made it a little bit faster. They didn't want to make a scene.
You both had camera gear, I assume? You both had like camera gear. Yeah. You looked like vloggers or journalists. Okay.
Yeah, they knew I wasn't a threat. So if they assessed a higher than normal threat level, which, you know, they're doing all kinds of situational awareness and prep for these kinds of situations where, you know, they're monitoring who's in the area, what kind of license plates are in the area. They're scanning for criminals, people that are high risk. We were none of that. We just wanted to ask the prime minister a couple questions, and we did.
Did this interview make you feel any different about Justin Trudeau? Did it show you like a more human side to him, or are you more sympathetic to him after this interview?
I think that's what some liberals might say about him. Everyone can take what they want from the interview. It sort of confirmed what I knew about him. He's narcissistic. He's a manipulator, and he takes up a lot of oxygen. He tried his very best to drive the conversation. I tried my best to steer it towards him answering actual questions about policy, but he wanted to make it about himself and his family. We weren't there to ask him questions about Sophie Trudeau. We weren't there to ask him questions about his kids. We were there to ask him serious questions about the Online Harms Act and why he's hiding behind children so that he can push forward his censorship agenda. We wanted to know why he takes so many vacation days. He takes more vacation days than any prime minister in history. We wanted to know why he shields himself from independent journalists so thoroughly. We had a lot of questions to ask. Some we didn't get to. I wanted to ask him about Harjit Sajjan, why that disgrace of a minister wasn't fired when it became clear that he redirected the Canadian Armed Forces into protecting people that looked like him instead of Canadians and Afghans that served the armed forces during the war. Absolute disgrace. Would have loved to ask him that question, wasn't able to because he turned around to leave. I didn't want to bother him too much, and I wanted to be respectful. I wanted to prove that independent journalists were not just rabble-rousers. We are not there just to cause a crisis, cause a scene, and get clicks. We're there to get results for our viewers. And sure, our viewers are conservative. They're right-wing. They don't like Justin Trudeau, but they have just as much right to access the Prime Minister as any other Canadian who happens to enjoy watching the CBC.
When are we going to get more of you on YouTube? You're very lazy with your YouTube channel. Do you realize that articles and newspaper is the past? YouTube, social media content, this is the future. When are we going to get you on YouTube?
That's a good question.
You have such a larger audience on YouTube. You'd be great.
I don't think I have the face or the voice for YouTube.
Look
you
at
do
me.
a much better
Look
job.
At me. Okay, you think I have the face for this? People, I get hundreds of thousands of people watch me on video. I'm not easy to look at. Come on, man. Anyone could do this.
Yeah, maybe. You know, what I find is that it's very difficult to actually get video filmed and published on a routine basis. It's far easier to write when I'm traveling. If I'm on a plane, I can actually get the story out way faster when it's written. And, you know,
is that your real passion? Like reporting on the ground, reporting over, I guess, kind of what I do, or maybe what Lauren Southern does, kind of like talk about the news itself and just actually create the news essentially.
I definitely prefer to be where it's happening. If I have a studio and a team, and as the counter signal grows, maybe we will. But you need like next level resources to be able to have quality video production. I think we're getting there, and it's definitely not something that I'm ruling out. Just as the counter signal started, written journalism was for sure the easiest way to get the news out and to share the news that the mainstream media refused to. When I go to Hong Kong and cover the fall of the last vestiges of the British Empire there. When I go to Madrid to cover COP, the climate conference, or the United Kingdom or France, or wherever we go to cover the story, it does have to be video. People want to see pics, or it didn't happen, but it does just take that next tier of resources and financial strain on production that we just don't have at the time. But maybe, you know, as we grow, we'll be able to do that.
I have so much respect for you, people like you, the journalists on the ground. I've done it. I've gone and covered certain protests in Ottawa here and there for fun. But for you to actually get on a plane, go there, interview, edit, and I'm just some asshole sitting on a chair here in front of YouTube and just watching clips I see on social media. You guys put in the work, and I just want to say how much I appreciate you and what you do. And you guys are giving a voice to truth. And, you know, we're seeing this rise in alternative media. I mean, my show barely ever covers mainstream media clips or anything like that. I grab everything from alternative media. It's definitely the future, man. And I respect you guys, the real journalists, man, who get out there and ask the questions.
I appreciate that.
Push the buttons.
Well, you're doing great yourself. Your channel's growing. I just saw you pass a pretty big milestone, and you know that growth is a testament to actually sharing the news that people want to hear. So kudos to you, and thanks for having me on.
So that was my interview with Keean Bexte. And guys, please go easy on me in the comments. That's my first ever interview I've done. So if it wasn't the best, I'm sorry. I'll try to get better and better. But before we end off this video, I want to ask you this sincere question here. Now that we've seen the interview in full, we've spoken to Keean Bexte, do you still think this interview was staged? Many on the internet are absolutely firmly believing this was staged. It was pre-planned. Justin Trudeau is an actor. What do you guys think? Was this staged? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments down below. And before I let you guys go, I just want to say something. I received an absolute beating yesterday for this tweet here on X, where I said Justin Trudeau pushing aside his security and giving an interview was a pretty badass moment. Now, I had not seen the interview. This was basically purely off the preview. I'm not going to start liking Justin Trudeau. I don't like Justin Trudeau. I think he's one of the worst human beings on planet Earth. But I mean, that push was kind of cool. But as we have seen in this interview, well, he basically is doing the same Trudeau manipulation BS. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not all of a sudden a lib. I'm not a Trudeau fan. He can go himself, and this channel is going to stay the same. All right, guys, as I said, tell me in the comments down below, fake or not fake, staged or not staged. I want to hear it. Also, my first ever interview on this channel. Did you guys like it? What needs to be improved? Do you guys want to see more of these little mini interviews on my show? Tell me in the comments down below. If you guys want to support this show, well, how about we support independent journalists today? Go to supportthesignal.com and sign up for an account if you want some real journalism here in Canada. And if you want to support this show, drop a comment, hit the like button, share the video out, tell your friends about that crazy YouTuber called the Pleb from Canada. Or if you want to help me out more, you could become a member to this channel for $5 Canadian. And everyone knows our money is worthless. My name is the Pleb. Double P, hit us with the outro.
Hey, guys. Hey, keep up the great work. Thank you, guys. You hear that? Keep up the great work. Keep up the great work. Let's bring it home. Let's bring it home. The Pleb.
See you guys tomorrow. Peace.